See here. Oh, shoot. Let's go around here. Okay. Sally lifted up her magnum, pulled back the hammer, and shouted, Allahu Akbar. Blam, blam, blam with the magnum up at the bunk Daniel was laying on. The noise of the magnum in the truck was deafening. When the ringing in Sally's ears faded, a coldness began to settle around her. She felt horrible, but it was what her Muslim husband had told her to do. Besides, there was no way Daniel could have been telling the truth about Islam, she thought. She cried and threw down the gun, feeling horrible. She actually wondered if all that Daniel told her about Islam was true. She then stumbled over to the control panel and pulled out Daniel's Pikachu doll. He had told her had the flash he told her had the flash drive sewed into. When she held it up and examined it to see where the stitching was located, her watering eyes suddenly became saucer size when she heard tapping of fingertips on a laptop keyboard. Sally turned about quickly and, with terror in her pretty eyes, saw Daniel typing away, acting as if nothing had happened. She couldn't believe her eyes. Daniel stopped typing, continued to look at the laptop screen. Daniel stopped typing, continued to look at the laptop screen. He smiled and said without looking at her, That Pikachu is certainly cute, but I think I'd rather shoot someone for a Jigglypuff. Yeah. Yeah, that Pikachu is certainly cute, but I think I would rather shoot someone for a Jigglypuff. Sally whimpered, raised her hand, and pointed a shaky finger of terror at the smiling Daniel as he typed away. She said with great fear in her pretty eyes, You're Jin! Daniel stopped typing and said, When did I say I had... when did I say I had that? When did I say I had that? I don't have any. Truckers aren't allowed to have any booze on commercial trucks. But I do have sugarcane here that turns into rum, by gum. Personally, I think I'd rather shoot someone for tequila. I love margaritas. Sally looked like she was about to black out. She was so freaked out. She asked, How? Daniel went back to tapping on his laptop, all the while saying, You're all as sure as a lousy aim. I mean, hundreds of thousands of rockets have been fired into Israel from the very territory Israel traded with the Muslims in the hopes of achieving peace, and hardly any Jew has been killed from them. I tell you, that Allah of yours is a horrible aim. Oh, and 39 Scuds landed in Tel Aviv during the war with Saddam in the first Gulf War, destroying 5,000 Jewish homes. Guess what? Not one Jew was killed from the flying shrapnel. And these weren't the crappy Scuds that got the Ayatollah Khamenei crying uncle to end the war with Iraq due to the devastation those lousy missiles were inflicting on Tehran. I tell you, again, that Allah of yours is a horrible aim. Daniel quit typing on his laptop, smiled. He then turned his head slowly for the first time, looking into Sally's scared, frightened eyes, and said, Or is Adonai a better protector of his chosen? The excited look in Daniel's eyes when he said chosen made Sally want to faint. She was so terror-stricken of Daniel, the way he was acting. Of Daniel and the way he was acting. Yeah. Yeah, Daniel said, Daniel quit typing on his laptop, smiled. He then turned his head slowly for the first time, looked into Sally's scared, frightened eyes, and said, Or is Adonai a better protector of his chosen? The excited look in Daniel's eyes when he said chosen made Sally want to faint. She was so terror-stricken of Daniel and the way he was acting. Daniel then turned to his laptop and said, I'm thinking it's both. The terror-stricken Sally shuddered, started out, but how? Daniel stopped typing and said, it was strange. It was like this big, invisible hand of God just appeared out of nowhere and pressed me up against the wall here as your bullets zipped up through my bunk and gave me a new skylight so I can view the well-guarding stars. Um, I think the hand was I think the hand was angels. Really? Asked Sally as if she was now actually believing Daniel and hoping he was telling the truth. Daniel smiled and said, I'm sorry. I can't lie to you. Um, see this net-like thing that I think is used to secure cargo with? Well, it gave me a chance to jump for it, and when I not only heard the click of your gun, but you're doing your Aloha snack bar shout, you wouldn't believe how shouting Aloha snack bar gives an infidel cuffer like myself time enough to hit the deck. For me, it was grabbing onto the top of that cubbyhole with the netting, or whatever it's called. From the feel of the bullet holes in this, it's amazing you didn't get to me no matter how pressed up against this wall. Maybe it was a miracle, after all. Sully cringed. She felt ashamed of herself for reasons she didn't quite know, and asked, with embarrassment in her voice, How long have you known? Daniel looked at her and said, I've been thinking you were planning to do something dastardly for the Bismillah, the Bismillah Irrahman Irrahim ever since you said you forgot your flash drive pin. When you said that, I almost laughed, thinking, man, do they really think I'm that stupid? It was kind of insulting that you'd think I'd actually fall for that trick to get me to tell you where my flash drive was. Sully cringed again. She said, It worked, though, didn't it? Daniel then said, You almost had me fooled, though. You really did. I went to my MyFace account. I went to your MyFace account. Saw those stunning pictures no pious Muslim girl would dare think to perform in unless of course she was going to soon delete them right after doing something very grand she'd think the most compassionate, most merciful would be pleased with. Sully felt horrible. Daniel, yeah, Sully felt horrible. I mean, damn, girl, you was fine. Sully cried and said, It wasn't my plan. It wasn't my plan. Daniel smiled and said, Oh, I'm sure it wasn't. Your husband was probably hoping I'd see those. Your husband was probably hoping I'd see those pictures. That I'd find you so hot and sexy that I'd start thinking with my rooster, giving you a reason to shoot me when I'd try to rape you, right? You could then tell the cops an armed trucker rapist ran you off the road, kidnapped you, and you shot him with your husband's gun. You'd say you secretly had in your purse all along, as you'd make off with the flash drive, right? Make off with the flash drive so you can find the passwords and put what you want to put on the YouTube accounts I currently possess, right? I bet you have it planned that you get someone who looks or sounds like me or Neville, having a video that says we saw the light and became Muslim, right? Sally looked shocked. Daniel seemed to be reading her mind. Daniel went on and said, and the sexy MyFace account is then deleted to cover up why I'd go ape with you. Because face it, anyone who isn't a Muslim just has to be a secret evil rapist, right? Just has to rape a girl as pretty and sexy as you after seeing such stimulating pictures, right? Because hey, a non-Muslim is an evil beast with no control over his rooster when he sees a girl not wearing a burqa or hijab covering up the heavenly art God made for his glory, right? Sally just stood there looking at Daniel. She was speechless. And crying now with terror. She didn't know what to say at all. It was as if he was reading her mind, reading her very soul. Daniel then said, I can't believe you think that from me. You look and sound like you were born right here in America, and you would would know the psychology of your fellow American, even if you are, what, 18? I mean, you'd know that non-Muslim men aren't the monsters the Quran makes us out to be. But here you are, actually thinking that lying evil book has us non-Muslims pegged. That we secretly stay up in the night, biting our fingernails off in hatred of you. Man, I'm really surprised at you, Sally. Or whatever the hell your name is. That girl is another total lie from the Quran that calls itself clear signs. And again, I don't hate Muslims. And although I find you devastatingly attractive, guess who isn't going to lay one lustful hand on your curvy, sexy body because he's married and doesn't want to go against the commandment in the Torah that the Quran says is all his words? Oh, sure. I'll be thinking about you from now on when I'm by myself. I'll probably fantasize about you to the point where I become myself at times. Sally looked confused, as if on the verge of asking what. Then he smiled and said, hey, I'm Japanese. Well, half Japanese anyway. The other half is Chinese and East Indian. Sally looked confused. Daniel said, you never heard the expression turning Japanese? Well, good, because it's kind of racist. Daniel then said, what's your real name? Is it Kadisha? Or Aisha? Or Mohammadi? What? So I looked down and said, Afifa. Really? Asked Daniel. You look more like an Ashadiya. Ashadiya. Sally kind of smiled. Daniel went on with, but really, do you really have a family in Southern Cal? Sorry, but due to your taqiya, well, you're lying for your Allah, which Allah allows. I feel like I'm wasting my time asking you any questions now. You now have a lot of work to do before I ever believe a single word from you ever again. It's not your fault. It's that evil religion you're enslaved in that makes you a hypocrite. Thanks to Quran 3:28, 1606, MO saying war is deceit. Sally asked, if you thought I was going to kill you, why did you let me try to sleep in your truck? Daniel thought, then said, I didn't know if you were going to kill me. Besides, I thought that if you were going to shoot me, you'd pick a time where you could escape. I was actually shocked that you'd try to kill me now when a cop could come by and see that you'd have shot me in the back like you tried. I'll stop it here.